Hi guys, welcome. I'm Brearley from Jigsaw Autism Services. I'm just on a coffee break. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take time out to let you know about the work that I've been doing. Now, some of you may have seen me at this year's ABA conference down in Melbourne on our theme, Proven and Progressive in Treatments and Information and what's going on in the world of ABA at the moment. So what I thought I'd do is I'd share with you some of the knowledge that I've been working on at my clinic at Jigsaw Autism Services. So because my paper is all about being a famous YouTuber, hence my t-shirt, have a good look in there, Planet Jessie. I've got the back somewhere. Look at it. Find me on YouTube. Hopefully you can see that. And I thought I'd just share with you how I've actually got to this place to actually have a t-shirt with a logo, Planet Jessie, on it. Okay, so are you ready? You might want to go get a cuppa because I'll tell you what, I can talk and this might go for a little while. So bear with me. Okay, so how did it all begin? Well, many of you out there in Australia have probably got a lot of people, a lot of kids who are now having access to therapy under the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Well, what we found is that there was an influx of kids who are needing therapy. What I also found was that from the age group of around 8 or 9, some of those kids hadn't had any therapy at all. And they were a little bit reluctant to engage in a therapy session. So what I also discovered was when I would ask them, what would you like to do, when you grow up, or what kinds of things do you like? And many of them would say to me, hey, Jo, I want to be a famous YouTuber. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And I would see lots of kids are telling me they want to be YouTubers. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I should just go and find out what all this fuss about YouTube is. And so I went and did some research. What did I do? I Googled how to be a YouTuber. And then I discovered what all the fuss was about. So that's really sort of how it started. And then I got myself thinking, if we're going to come from the child's interest, but we also want to do an ABA program because we want to teach skills and we want to have structure and we want to make it observable, then I came up with this idea that what if we were to turn a therapy session using the concept of YouTube, where the child teaches something or someone, sort of say someone, some content, and then that could become their session. Speech therapy, engagement, communication, and all those areas that many children with autism find difficulty. And what I discovered was amazing. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, is what I discovered. So what I discovered was that within 1 hour, not days, not weeks, I was able to improve the core challenges or some of those behaviours that are often seen and listed, say, in the ADOS around social communication skills. So some of those things included things like just communication, the ability to be able to report events and give information, eye contact, speech in itself. It became more interesting. It had more tone and affect. It was more clearer, so articulation improved. And all in all, the child's motivation improved as well. And we were also moving away from just being very repetitive and restrictive, because the child was also becoming open to what I would suggest that we were actually going to be the teachable moments. So this was pretty amazing. And then I thought to myself, okay, there's quite a bit of evidence here, Jo, saying that what you're doing is working. Well, you know what it's like in the world of research. If you don't have evidence, or it's not proven, or it doesn't seem to have some form of, rigorous research behind it, then how are people going to take you seriously? So what I started to do then was started to research a little bit more and find out in the research what kind of past papers might talk about, using YouTube. Well, I come to a zero. There was nothing that mentioned about YouTube. But what I did find was papers that started to talk about the concept of video modelling. So I've got a couple here with me today. So there was a paper here written by, it's called 2 Variations of Video Modelling Interventions for Teaching Play Schools with Children with Autism. And that's by Sancho, Sidner, Reeve College and a few others. So that was a piece of research that I found to have a support that people had been looking at imitation skills in particular and the use of video modelling. I've also came across another paper. Oh, that one was written in 2010. So I came across another paper, and that was one called Video Modelling Interventions Improve Social Communication Skills for Individuals with Autism Spectrum Disorder. And that was only a single case research study of using video modelling interventions to improve social communication skills for individuals with autism spectrum. So, and then I also came across another one. So I don't have too many, and you'll probably notice that if you're actually able to have a look at my my copy of my poster presentation, which we'll make available, and you will be able to hopefully download that from our site, called Applied Behaviour Analysis is a Science and Therefore Progressive. So that was actually the research on why I believe that, you know, this kind of techniques are a form of ABA, because they cross over into the evidence-based practice that video modelling has actually got as well. And the idea of being proven and progressive, in other words, we know we don't have to stay too rigid. You know, we can move, you know, within an ABA field. And that's what I feel that we're doing here at Jigsaw, is that we're using the science of ABA, we're being sensible about it, and we're also trying to create naturalistic and communication that's real. You know, it's authentic. It's not, you know, robotic. And that's what I'm finding too, is something that we can do with this work, you know, with our clients here at Jigsaw, by using this concept of YouTube videoing. So I called the paper, I Want to Be a Famous YouTuber, because that is what my clients were telling me. I want to be a YouTuber, Joey. I can make a job out of YouTube. Okay, sounds interesting. I've already got a YouTube channel, Joe. Okay, so I started to have a look at these kids, and they did have YouTube channels. And let me say, some of the stuff that was out there was quite concerning, especially when these kids have got a disability and they're not presenting themselves in the best light. So it opens them up to bullying and etc. as well. So from there, I found, and we'll just touch base on that as well. So what I found is I came up with a bit of a protocol. So bear with me. So some of these things were that using an ABA approach and using video modelling interventions, because it is an evidence-based intervention, and it's one of in the top 27 evidence-based practices in a list of, you know, 1,500. So it's right up there as really good evidence-based as well. I also found that the reinforcement of actually doing something of interest and making a video was very, very powerful. So rather than go through a list of, you know, reinforcers and you know, and do like a reinforcement assessment, I did an in the moment. And in that moment, YouTube was their interest. So that's what I went for. And the idea of them, you know, making a piece of content that would be for a YouTube channel was very, very motivating. And I found that I was even able to decide what that content was. And I used their goals from their NDOS plan to create a topic. And then the child had to go and, you know, research that, come up with some interesting content. And we came up with things like, well, actually, if you have a look on the sheet, I think I talked about there was Chelsea's family daycare. So within that video, little Chelsea, I think 10 years of age, she decided that she wanted to create her own family daycare centre because she was interested in kids. So she set the scene, she worked out what she was going to say, and she then was telling families why they should put their children into her family daycare service. And that went wonderful. And I think we did 2 or 3 takes, and that was all it took. And by then her speech had improved, her communication improved, and her whole ability to organise and put information together made sense. So that was Chelsea's family daycare. I think you'll also notice too, there was Dylan's Dollar Shop. Once again, you know, Dylan is a young person with autism who's had a lot of trouble, you know, accessing a mainstream classroom. You know, he'd had problems with school expulsions, and just getting really motivated and keen to learn. Well, I tell you, his video goes for over 10 minutes, and he was able in one shoot sell me why I should go to Dylan's Dollar Shop. And he had a whole range of different things you could buy, and his eye contact, his motivation, his speech, it was like amazing. And then there's also the Planet Jassy, which is hence this one. So I'll tell you a little bit how we came about that one as well. So in a nutshell, I found this technique extremely motivating, extremely exciting, and I do believe that with more research and also having a little bit more closer look at the protocol and that framework, I do believe that it's an area that we should be engaging in. We should be using it. It's modern. It's coming in line with what's going on. Kids love research. Sorry, kids love technology, and it's not going away. So my idea is, you know, rather than become just users, we can become content builders. And after all, we know that kids with autism spectrum can be very creative. And if you're not using it, I think you should have a look at it and start thinking about how you can bring YouTube into your therapy session. So from there, one of the problems I found was that we would make a video, and hypothetically, I would tell the kids that they could be on my YouTube channel. The problem I found is that while it was a work in progress, the kids were still in a therapy session, and it was still around confidentiality. So what I also found was I would say to the children, yes, Joe's got the video, you know, and I want to put it up on my channel, and I'm just going to wait for the right time. And I was always concerned about confidentiality. And after a while, I found that the kids didn't even really care that they didn't actually go up on the Jigsaw Autism Services channel that I actually created. Oh, mind you, I might add to that I had to make it so real that I had to go in, make a Jigsaw Autism Services channel, make some fake little videos so it looked like, you know, authentic to the children, and get a couple of subscribers. And that worked wonderful. And the kids were really happy to think that the videos might be chosen to go up onto that YouTube channel. But in the meantime, what I also discovered was that parents were saying to me, hey, Joe, you know what, this is such a great idea. Why don't you make some videos to show us how to learn? And I thought, well, that's great. But you know what? This face does not always like being out there on the internet. And in the meantime, I had my own daughter, Eliza, who has autism. She's 23, and intellectual disability, who wants to be an actress. So she'd gone into Sydney and done a showreel course, and she also does other things in film. And she's just finished, and I thought to myself, what if then I got an actor to actually act the play? Hence, I came up with the Planet Jassy idea, and that's just gone through the roof. So the Planet Jassy channel is an extension of the work that I've done here at the clinic on YouTube. The other thing too with my daughter, she's 23, she has quite a significant disability, and in particular speech and language is an area that she's always had trouble with. But since we've been doing the channel, her actual, once again, even with her speech has improved, her motivation, her processing speed, her working memory have all up the ante so much that, you know, when you watch the videos, you can very rarely see that she even has a problem with speech and communication. So once again, even within that framework, I'm seeing a huge growth in her social communication skills. And also, you know, she works with a team of people behind the scenes, and that's also increasing her ability of social engagement and friendship building. So this coming from the child or the person-centered interest on YouTube, in my case of my daughter, her interest in becoming a film actress, you know, the YouTube channel has been wonderful. so forward to the fact that we've actually turning this channel into a very serious business, and that's where we're working towards. And we're using some of her NDIS funding to get a team of people to come in and actually support her to turn this into a real job. So when the kids, going back to that, so when the kids said to me, hey, Joe, I want to be a famous YouTuber. Yeah, you can make heaps of money and make a career out of it. And I sort of thought, oh, yeah, great. I actually now starting to understand what these kids are getting at. However, we also need to teach them that it's not just a matter of, turning on the video camera and going out there and doing some la-la stuff and you're going to be famous. There's a lot of planning involved and there's a lot of purpose. And that's what I'm also teaching within the session. So many people that are successful are not just successful very quickly. It takes hard work. And that's what I also want to instill in the children and the clients that come here as well. Through hard work, learning and concentration and keeping focused on your interest, you will get better skilled, right? And the secret's out. YouTube's the way to go, right? I'm just so glad that I found it as well. And the great thing is I can engage with these kids and I can have a relationship, with my daughter on something that's of interest. And I have to agree with them. It's very addictive. And, but you know what? I'm having so much fun doing it and so much fun learning it. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into the paper that I'm presenting as a poster at the ABA conference in Melbourne on July the 19th, I think it is, the 19th, 20th. And I know that a lot of people are going to be very busy and they're not going to get a chance to have a look at everything. So I thought, you know what? By making this YouTube video clip, then you'll be able to go back, have a look at it and see where I'm at. So the other thing I might add too is they told me that I needed to get like merch. So we're working on, the cups, the shirts. And the other thing they also told me was like, don't forget to say things like and subscribe. And they told me fan base was really important. So I'm hoping that the Planet Jassy will get a better fan base. Joe will get a better fan base, which I think the kids will take me more seriously if I do. And really everything that I'm learning about YouTube, I'm learning from them. And I'm just using my knowledge in autism to be able to help them get better at being the best versions of themselves. So I'm just going to end on a traditional way that you end a YouTube video clip, and that's to say, if you guys liked this video and you want to see more, then send me a note and I'm happy to tell you more about what I do. In the meantime, like and subscribe. See ya.